Today we're digging into the very first scientific attempts to map altered states of consciousness. Let's get into it.
Back in the 60s and 70s, scientists began exploring the mind's uncharted portions. This was a pretty radical idea.
Here's what we'll cover. We're going to follow the story of how these researchers tackled this brand new challenge.
The whole point was to get past anecdotes and be truly scientific. But that presented a huge problem.
I mean, how do you actually measure a mystical experience? This was the central question for pioneers like Walter Pahnke.
Pahnke argued that personal stories, on their own, just weren't enough. He found three major scientific flaws.
Basically, the definitions were vague, there were no controls, and the reports were obviously biased.
So, step one was getting a shared vocabulary. Dr. Ludwig came up with this working definition for an ASC.
Pahnke's real breakthrough was a typology of mysticism. It was a structured framework for actual measurement.
Suddenly, things like unity or sacredness became specific phenomena you could look for and measure.
Okay, so with that framework in hand, they could finally build a proper experiment to test psilocybin.
They gathered data using these super detailed questionnaires, where people would rate their experiences on a scale.
And the design was rigorous, a double-blind, placebo-controlled study. This was serious science.
And the results? They were pretty clear. The data showed a huge statistical difference between the groups.
And it wasn't just numbers. Powerful personal accounts of joy really brought the quantitative data to life.
This data started fueling some bigger theories. Gene Houston called it a rising of the depths.
And pharmacologist Roland Fisher had this amazing phrase, the cartography of inner space. Literally, map-making for the mind.
His theory was about a shift from the logical left brain over to the creative, nonverbal right hemisphere.
But here's what's crucial. None of these pioneers thought this was the final word. They knew it was a start.
In fact, Pahnke's own work concluded with a whole roadmap of detailed suggestions for future research.
He pushed for studying things like set and setting, and called for developing even better measurement tools.
This early work laid a foundation that we're only now getting back to, which leaves us with a pretty big question.